Today, we all know Luka Modric as a Ballon d'Or winner and someone who carried his country to the final of a World Cup. But what you didn't know was that Modric beat all odds just to stay alive, let alone become one of the greatest midfielders of this generation. Modric's road to the top is one of the darkest stories you'll ever hear. So dark that he hasn't even told his own children. From war to Ballon d'Or, this is the journey of Luka Modric.
So this is the second hotel that the Modric family lived in.
This is the hotel where he spent last 2 years of him as a refugee.
Croatia was one of 6 republics that made up the federal state of Yugoslavia. Last summer, these areas rebelled against Croatian independence, and Yugoslavia's federal army, made up mostly of fellow Serbs, was sent in to protect them from the Croats.
Deep within the Velebit mountain, a forgotten building stands. This silent place, several kilometers from its nearest neighbors, holds parts of Modric's childhood. In the stone house of his grandfather, sitting on the road above the Modrici hamlet, Modric spent the early years of his life. Named after his grandfather, he took on responsibilities at a young age. At just 5, he began shepherding the goats in the hills. Unfortunately for Luka, his childhood happened during the 1991 Croatian War of Independence. His grandfather was killed by Serb forces, the house was burnt, and the family fled to the town of Zagreb. In those years, the city faced a lot of bombs, and playing football became a way to forget about the tough times of war. Modric remembers it as a hard period of time for his family, one that shaped him into who he is today. Surprisingly, he didn't feel much about the war because he had many friends, and their parents made sure that it didn't ruin their childhood. In these tough times, Modric started playing football mainly in the hotel parking lots. He would end up starting his professional career at Dinamo Zagreb in 2003. He spent 2 seasons on loan, one season at Zrinski Mostar in the Bosnian Premier League, and another at Inter Zabresic. He signed his first official contract in 2005, a 10-year contract with Dinamo Zagreb. He scored 7 goals in 31 appearances, helping Dinamo win the league. Next season, Modric helped them win again, this time being the main creator for Eduardo, their starting striker. Modric won the PRVA HNL Player of the Year award that season, an award given to the best player in the Croatian top flight. The following year, Modric captained the side to qualify for the 2007-2008 UEFA Cup. Despite failing to advance past the group stages, in his last home match with the club, Modric was given a standing ovation and fans held up supportive banners. He finished his 4-year time at Dinamo with 31 goals and 29 assists in 4 league seasons, contributing the most in the 2007-2008 season when Dinamo won their second Croatian Cup and became champions by a 28-point margin. Now, Modric had impressed at his time at Dinamo, and all the top clubs in Europe were after him. With numerous options available to him, he picked to join Tottenham Hotspur in 2008. Tottenham confirmed the transfer fee paid was 16.5 million euros, equaling the club's record fee set by Darren Bent in 2007. Modric was just one of many signings for Juan de Ramos. I think a lot of people forget this part of Modric's career, but his start at Tottenham was very slow. He suffered from a knee injury early and was labeled as a lightweight for the Premier League by sections of the media, which included Arsenal's manager, Arsene Wenger. At this time, Modric's form was very poor and people were questioning the big money signing. And having his development stopped was a huge worry for national team head coach Slaven Bilic. Modric was moved around a lot in these early days. It wasn't until the appointment of Harry Redknapp as manager that Modric began to have much more influence in games and showcase his talent.
I said, I'm going to play Luka Modric central. And Clive said to me, Harry, he'll get murdered in there. He's not strong enough to play in there.
Modric, of course, eventually figured it out at Tottenham, being voted the Tottenham Player of the Year in the 2010-2011 season. He was actually so good that Sir Alex Ferguson himself said he would have voted for Modric as the player of the entire league for that season. It was around this time that Modric began his rise to stardom. Chelsea wanted him, but Levy refused to sell to another London rival. Modric began to get frustrated at this stage. He felt trapped as every bid for him was being rejected. Rumors and talks continued into the summer transfer window. It even got to a point where Modric didn't play in Tottenham's first game of the season against Manchester United, where they ended up losing 3-0. Modric explained that his focus wasn't right because he really wanted to join Chelsea at the time. On the last day of the transfer window, Chelsea made a £40 million offer, but it was rejected. Despite all this, Modric eventually got his request to leave in August of 2012 when Real Madrid announced that they had agreed on a deal with Tottenham for an approximate £30 million transfer fee. Honestly, looking back and comparing the fee they paid back then to fees being paid for players now, the Modric signing might have been one of the biggest bargains of the last century. Modric signed a 5-year contract with the Spanish club, but he struggled to settle into the first team under Jose Mourinho. A big part of this was his lack of preseason training, which he missed because there was transfer negotiations happening on his behalf. On top of that, the Madrid lineup at the time was stacked with guys like Xabi Alonso, Sami Khedira, and Mesut Ozil. Modric ended up on the bench most of the games, and when he did play, it was often out of position. A very similar story to what he experienced in his initial stint at Tottenham. At the end of the year, he was voted as the worst signing of the season by Spanish newspaper Marca. But Modric did not let the criticism get to him. These were just words coming from people who had never in their life played the sport at a high level. In March of 2013, Modric started his first home game for Real Madrid, and what a game to do it. El Clasico. From a corner kick, he assisted Sergio Ramos, who ended up scoring the winner in the 82nd minute. Modric continued his good form just a few days later when he came on as a substitute against Manchester United in the Champions League. At the time, Real Madrid was trailing by a goal, but Modric equalized with a beautiful shot from 25 yards out. He danced past Michael Carrick and curled it in from a pretty tough angle, all while barely keeping his balance. Not only did Modric score, but he also helped control the speed of the game from the central midfield position, helping Real Madrid to win 2-1 and advancing to the quarterfinal. To many, this was seen as the turning point for Luka Modric's career at Real Madrid. His performances only got better from here as he began to establish himself as a valuable member of the Real Madrid system. Carlo Ancelotti's appointment in June of 2013 was a huge moment for Modric's career. Ancelotti used him immediately as a starter, playing him next to Xabi Alonso in a double pivot. He proved to be the team's best passer with an average accuracy of 90% in La Liga. He also led the team in ball recoveries. This mix of excellent technical quality combined with an unlimited work engine means Luka Modric will create for you, but he's also willing to do all the dirty work in the center of the park. From scoring from outside the box against Copenhagen to assisting Ramos' 93rd minute equalizer against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League final.
Rising goal! Sergio Ramos to the rescue for Real.
He earned a spot in the UEFA Champions League Team of the Season and was honored with the award as the best midfielder in the Spanish First League that season. More importantly, Luka Modric helped Real Madrid achieve something they had been after for years: La Decima. He was awarded for his efforts in August of 2014, signing a brand new contract with Real Madrid, keeping him at the club until 2018. Despite many managers coming and going after Carlo Ancelotti, one theme remained constant. Modric was seen by all of them as the key piece in midfield, helping connect the defense to the attack. Of all the different managers, Modric found the most success playing under Zidane. He was a regular in the starting lineup when they won the 2015-2016 Champions League against Atletico Madrid. He was included in both the Champions League and La Liga Team of the Season. For the second time, he also received the award for the best midfielder of the Spanish First League and was included in the FIFA Pro World 11. Not bad for a player that was labeled as the worst signing in La Liga. The awards and recognition for Modric were only starting as he was included in the UEFA Team of the Year for the first time in his career. He was now an essential part of the Real Madrid team, just as important as the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Sergio Ramos. There wasn't a single player at Real Madrid who could provide the magic that Luka had in the midfield. With Modric as a regular starter now, Real Madrid won the 2016-2017 La Liga as well as the Champions League again after Modric assisted Ronaldo for a second goal against Juventus in the Champions League final. Modric was awarded for his performances by being included in the Champions League Team of the Season, becoming the first Croatian ever to win 3 Champions Leagues. He also received the UEFA Club Football Award for the best midfielder of the Champions League season and was also included again in the FIFA Pro World 11. Whenever we speak about Real Madrid and their Champions League victories, the talk always goes to guys like Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale. But Modric was doing something that no other Real Madrid midfielder had done in the last 15 years. Despite the great midfielders they had like Zidane, Ozil, Guti, even Kaká, none of them helped Real Madrid achieve the success they have earned in the last 10 years. There's a reason why La Decima didn't happen until Luka Modric's arrival. A box-to-box central midfielder who can score, assist, and win the ball back? I mean, what more can you ask for? The start of the 2018 season, Modric was right back to where he left off, just with a new number. With James Rodriguez leaving, Luka Modric became Real Madrid's newest number 10. He was once again included in the UEFA Team of the Year for the 2017 season and received the Golden Ball for being the best player at the Club World Cup. He even helped Real Madrid win yet another Champions League, beating Liverpool to lift their third Champions League in a row. This guy was making the most prestigious club trophy in all of football look easy. Modric was included in the Champions League Team of the Season for the third consecutive time, and later received the UEFA Club Football Award for Best Midfielder of the Champions League season for the second consecutive time. This is all to say that Luka Modric wasn't just winning because he was getting carried by a phenomenal team. He himself was a massive factor for why Real Madrid was dominating European football. The 2018 season was really special for Luka because not only did he have one of the best seasons you could ever have at club level, but his good performances carried over onto the international stage. To understand why Croatia making the final in the 2018 World Cup was so impressive, I have to take you back a little bit earlier. Any country is happy making it to the final stage of the most prestigious trophy in the world of football. But for Croatia, it was a miracle because they almost weren't even at the tournament at all. For Croatia's 2018 World Cup qualifying campaign, Modric became the new team captain after Dario Srna's retirement. Their qualification didn't go great. A 1-0 loss to Iceland, then Turkey, followed by a draw against Finland, meant that there was a good chance that Croatia wouldn't be able to qualify for the World Cup. This led to Modric publicly stating that he had no confidence in the coach at the time, Ante Čačić. Modric being as good as he is and essentially being the face of football in Croatia meant he had massive influence. As a result, Čačić was replaced by Zlatko Dalic ahead of Croatia's final qualifier against Ukraine, which Croatia won 2-0 and won a place in the playoffs. In the playoffs, Croatia beat Greece 4-1 with Modric scoring a penalty, allowing them to qualify for the World Cup. So when I am talking about Modric and the Croatian team's performances at the World Cup, keep this information in mind just to remember how close these guys were to not even qualifying. I will say one thing, there is a bit of a false narrative that Modric carried Croatia to the final. Modric was certainly the best player, but this was a golden generation of players with guys like Rakitic, Perisic, and Mandzukic all in the team. Modric was of course able to elevate all these guys by being the maestro in the midfield, but don't think he was just by himself on this national team. In their opening game, Modric scored a penalty against Nigeria and won man of the match. He won man of the match again in the next game where he scored a banging long shot against Argentina, beating them 3-0. He was even ranked by 442, the Daily Telegraph, and ESPN as the best player of the group stage. In the round of 16, he ended up missing his penalty against Denmark, but made up for it by scoring his pen in the penalty shootout, sending Croatia into the quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals against Russia, he assisted Vida from a corner, but the match still ended up going to penalty kicks. Modric was able to score his penalty again, winning man of the match again, and keeping Croatia's dream alive. At the time in the tournament, Modric had ran the most miles and was third in the most chances created. He also had the most dribbles per match and most passes completed in the opposition half. All of the right stats you want your central midfielder to dominate. He was putting on a show for the world to see. Despite losing to France in the final, Modric still won the Golden Ball, the award given to the best, perfect example of the modern day central midfielder. Ballon d'Or, becoming the first Croatian to win each of these awards. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I do think Modric's Ballon d'Or was a result of voters' fatigue. I feel people were tired of Messi and Ronaldo dominating, so despite the fact that they continued to put up alien-like statistics that season, they decided to give it to Modric. But that shouldn't take away from his greatness. The fact that he was even competing with these two aliens to begin with just shows you how good of a season Modric had. We're talking about a central midfielder competing with two guys who average like 50 goals a season. To top off an incredible year, Modric was also included in the FIFA Pro World 11 for the 4th time and won the IFFHS World's Best Playmaker Award. 2018 was definitely the absolute peak of Modric's career, but he has aged like fine wine. Age seems to have had a very little impact on him considering just 2 years ago, he helped Real Madrid win yet another Champions League. And last year, he won the bronze ball at the World Cup, helping Croatia make another deep run in the tournament before losing to the eventual winners, Argentina. In a position that requires you to be in unbelievable shape, Modric is still competing with the youngsters. Even now, at the age of 37, he continues to help Real Madrid off the bench, assisting Jude Bellingham's winner against Barcelona. Modric's story is an example of how with hard work, dedication, and sacrifice, you can achieve your dreams. Despite growing up in an area torn by war, Modric defeated all odds, not just to stay alive, but become one of the greatest midfielders we have ever seen. His name will forever be in the conversation with the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, and Zidane, a very elite company to be a part of. He is not just a legend for Croatia and Real Madrid, but an icon for the world of football. If you enjoyed this story of Luka Modric, I'm sure you'll enjoy the journey of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Watch it right here.